Welcome here for another edition of the Dolphin Dive. As you know, exclusively here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of our multimedia marketing partnership with the LeMoyne College Dolphins. We bring you Dolphin Dive every second and fourth Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, inside of Dolphin Time, which you can set for every Wednesday at 9. On first and third Wednesdays of each month, we have AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. So it's always Dolphin Time, Wednesdays at 9 and all throughout the month. And we've had a great time being able to tell stories. The exclusive multimedia marketing partnership started shortly after you and I got to do our show out at Pizza Man. So I'm back here with Franky Delia and Franky from the LeMoyne Lacrosse team, coming back as reigning national champions.
That's right.
Happy to have you, man.
Hey, thanks a lot, Dan. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Hey, I like the AD and DT. That's a pretty good addition. That's
thank you.
Pretty clever.
Appreciate that. So, Franky, you and I want to thank you too as well. I know I thanked you, personally, and I would love to, let people know too that when we started this exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, that before I could even reach out to you, you saw it, you reached out, and you said some very kind things, and I want to thank you for all that you did, because we got to get together, like I said, before the partnership even happened, and do something special for the community. So, thank you for being so kind and so positive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, once I saw that, I think my father sent it over to me. I couldn't be more happy for you. You're definitely the right guy for the job. I knew you're going to do great things, just with the athletic department. And so what was it? Was it your father who attended here?
My dad was here, yeah.
Okay, cool. Was he an athlete as well? Or?
He played basketball in his life, but he didn't play here.
Okay,
so,
but he attended school here. Okay,
yeah, he came here for his undergrad and then went on to become a lawyer. So LeMoyne, bringing him back up here and being able to shoot the video where we were actually right outside here and got to tell my dad that he's a Dolphin, and now being part of the Dolphins myself and being able to have that full circle and say like, Dad, we get to share something special together, and we get to do this was really cool.
Yeah. Like I said, I knew you were the right guy for the job, and then on top of that, the family ties and everything. That's awesome. I couldn't be more excited for you, and you're obviously doing a great job already. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I mean, I do what I can do, but you win championships. So
we're trying.
So
I got one.
Bring me into. I know we talked about it a bit, but here on Dolphin Dive, as we feature Franky Delia of the LeMoyne College men's lacrosse team. What was it about last season, now that you've had some time to think about it, what made that team so special?
Well, I think getting that last season before that, the 2020 year, taken away from us, I mean, that put, a lot of motivation underneath us, a lot of hunger to come back and prove what we can do. We felt, I think the gist in the locker room 2020 was that we felt we had a chance then, and then to come back 2021, get that taken away from us, and then to come back 2021, get the opportunity to recapture that was I think a good motivating factor. And then besides that, just really good leadership all across the board. Our leaders, our fifth year guys that came back, really awesome, and I think that perpetuated us into a good place. So, and
for you, when you have a season taken away, you can kind of sit there, you can sulk. Why did you and the guys decide to, keep running, stay in the weight room? Like, why did you take it upon yourselves? Because you don't win a championship coming off of a year taken away from you if you don't put extra work in.
Right.
So why did you guys stay hungry when you could have just sat at home and played video games and said, whatever, we're not playing?
Well, I know myself personally, I think I spent that month of March pretty much doing that, just playing video games. And then I was working at the pizza shop for Jim Delia. But I think that first month, I think that's what I was doing. But you can only do that for so long before you start to, just get upset with what was taken away from you, and then start to get, like you said, that hunger back in you. And then as the summer came around, I know myself and I know a lot of other guys on the team had the same feelings that I did. You got sick of sitting around playing the video games. You wanted to get back out there and start working hard and get ready for the fall and for hope, what was a championship run. So
the leadership you mentioned that came back last season, just how vital they were to the team in guiding you guys through a season that ended in a national championship.
I mean, it was amazing. I mean, we had great leaders across the board. We had Hans Zimmer, we had Will Petersea, we had Matt Hutchings who was there, Ross Filch, and then even some of the leaders, our captains now, who were seniors and juniors last year, but still older guys, guys like Nate Arnold, John Bellini, Casey Nevins, Ben McCreary, both are all our captains this year. But all those guys are older. They've been in the system. They knew the route to success, and they held that standard. They held a certain standard to the younger guys. They held a certain standard to me. Every day you stepped on the field, and they had high expectations for us every day. Never let us be complacent, and that's really what helped us get to that point.
So you win a championship, a national championship, and then you go back to work. Bring me into winning a national championship all the way to now starting off an entirely new season, just what that in-between has looked like and what it's felt like.
What it's looked like has been actually pretty good as far as, we've had a lot of guys come back. So as far as on the lacrosse field, looking really good. I feel as if we're a really talented team, and I feel as we have a really good shot to make something special happen. But the transition is really about having the mindset of, hey, and it's almost cliche, but that was last year. We have to forget about it and we have to move on. We have a whole new year and a whole new goal. Last year's over. Let's set our sights, towards 2022. So we just really got to forget about it. So
having a lot of guys come back, what is the makeup percentage-wise that you'd like to share with people of that championship team that has come back?
Of the contributors.
Yeah, the contributors. Yeah.
I mean, a large makeup of our starting of our starters there, but then we got a few key pieces that are stepping up in a big way. We got Griffin Ackley stepping up, really, helping us out, doing what he can. We got Jagger Kerr taking a big role in the defensive end, and then we got a transfer in Carter Collins, who's just had a hat trick, I believe, the other day. I mean, he stepped up. So as much as we have the returners coming back, as much as last year's team is coming, and we have that that spark there, we have a lot of new guys that are also bringing another dimension to our team. That's really helping us a lot.
So much excitement. LeMoyne is known for lacrosse, and growing up, my dad still lives in my childhood home, and years ago there was a sign that appeared that's where the bus stop sign usually is, right by my house. There was another sign that appeared that said, "Home of the national champion LeMoyne Dolphins," and it was for lacrosse.
Yeah.
And that was years and years ago. What does it mean to you to be a part of history now, that when a sign does appear and it says, "Hey, you're in Central New York, home of the LeMoyne Dolphins national championship lacrosse team," that you're a part of that history?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a dream. It's a dream to play for a local college like this. I mean, you grow up hearing about all the great success that LeMoyne has had, and it's just something special to really be a part of that. And then on top of that, to be a part of that when you come from the area, and then on top of that, to be part of it when your cousin was part of Coach Sheehan's first team. As my cousin, I've mentioned him right here before, with Pizza Man, Jimmy Delia was on Coach Sheehan's first team, wearing number 8, the same number that I wore. So all those things are just factors that make it something that's incredibly special to me. And I would never want to be anywhere else in the nation, no matter what division. I'm so happy where I'm at. It was the best decision I've ever made, and it obviously paid off. So
would never want to be anywhere else in the nation, any division, than right here. I don't think that's a better endorsement of LeMoyne. So what does it mean to you coming off of that to be a Dolphin? You're wearing that on your chest right now. What does LeMoyne mean to you?
I mean, it means everything. I mean, it's given me so many opportunities. It's just such a great school, such a great community. I mean, it's a small school. It just creates this amazing community of positivity and encouragement all across the board. All of the athletes, no matter what sport they're playing, is always encouraging us. So to what it means to be a Dolphin just means the world to me. And looking back as myself as a kid, looking at guys that were on the LeMoyne lacrosse team, looking up to them, it's like, wow, these guys are amazing. They're winning national championships, and they're doing things at such a high level. And so just to be a part of that, looking back as how it looked as a kid, it really is something special. So
to be a little kid and to see this LeMoyne men's lacrosse team win a championship, did you ever envision it as you watched this team that you would be on the field someday doing it?
No, never growing up did I think that I would. I mean, I had some confidence growing up. I knew I was a pretty solid goaltender, but never did I think I could really get to this level and compete at this high of a level at this competitive of an organization. But luckily for me, I got Coach Sheehan who noticed something in me, and has given me the opportunity to be a part of this, and I'm incredibly fortunate for it every day of my life. So,
bring me back to that moment where Dan Sheehan said, "I want you to be a part of this program."
It was, he was an incredible recruiter for me. As you know, I was at OCC for 2 years. Beginning of my sophomore year is typically when you start to get the college coaches calling you, and he was the very first one that contacted me. And he was all over me, and he didn't even have to be, because as soon as he contacted me, I knew it was the place that I wanted to be. So to have him be the first coach to call me, and then have him be the most relentless one, for me was, it was just a no-brainer for me right from the beginning. It really meant a lot. So
to have, when you have those couple years at OCC, when you have that time there, and then like you said, your first phone call is Dan Sheehan, the multi-time national champion. Like, for you, how did you respond in the moment to when those doors open and coaches could call you that the first one through the door is Dan Sheehan?
Well, I was just incredibly grateful. I remember as soon as he called me, I was just telling everybody on my team, God, I think I'm going to be a Dolphin. I called my mom, I called my dad, I called my cousin. I was like, y'all never believe this. What a high-level program to be calling me, out of high school, somebody who didn't get any looks. And now, next thing you know, I got a high level of a program is LeMoyne calling me, and Coach Sheehan. I was ecstatic. I was telling people at practice that day, I think I'm going to be a Dolphin. I really like the things he had to say. Like I said, calling family, calling old coaches, letting them know. I was just so ecstatic about it. And that was even before I committed, and then I committed. It was a whole other level of excitement, so.
And, for you brought up Jimmy Delia, your cousin, who is obviously the owner at Pizza Man Pub, and him and I get to work very closely in our partnership as well. What was that like when you got to talk to him and say, hey, I think I'm going to be a Dolphin, by the way, and then after that to say, hey, I think I'm going to wear number 8 as well? Yeah,
so initially talking to him about, going to LeMoyne, it was he knew that it was going to be the right place for me. He knew, what coach was about. He knew what the school was about, the education of it. And then he knew, just the athletic program was about. And like I said earlier, the small community and everything that comes with it, the positivity, the enthusiasm that comes from everybody. Basically, he was encouraging me to do so. I'm sure, there was a little bit of bias there with him. He wanted to see me come to his alma mater and, do something special. But he also knew in his heart that it was the right place for me to be. So initially, that's, his encouragement was awesome. And then after that, I think it was, coming up to the fall that year, I texted him, I said, Jimmy, I think I'm going to wear number 8. And, he couldn't be more excited about that. What a cool way to represent him and, everything that he's done for me. So
the bond that you had with Jimmy beforehand, how has that increased by coming to LeMoyne? How would you say your relationship has blossomed now that you both have worn number 8 and you both have a place that you've experienced that's the same? Now that LeMoyne has bonded you even thicker, what does that look like?
I guess it really hasn't. I can't say it's really changed much, because the thing with Jimmy is, as much as he wanted me to come here, I don't think if I went anywhere, I think he would have been just as supportive. And, I think no matter what I was doing, he would have been the most encouraging, like I said, most supportive and excited person for me. I know, every time I do good, he's one of the first people to text me and, congratulate me and talk about lacrosse. So like I said, I think I could have went anywhere in the nation. I think I would have had his support like I did now. But I guess a little bit more connected with our experiences, being up here at the Heights and playing for coach and all that good stuff. I guess that we're a little bit more connected in that way. But once again, to reiterate, I think he would have been there no matter what.
That coming from Franky Delia here with me in this edition of Dolphin Dive, celebrating LeMoyne College athletics in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You said on the Heights, it's something that we hear all the time. It's something that is worn on some of the gear. What does it mean to you to be on the Heights?
Well, once again, I hate to be redundant, but it's just it's amazing when you talk about the athletic department as a whole, not even the lacrosse team and the my teammates and the coaches and the parents that come with that, but You talk about the other teams that are on campus, the other coaches, just people who are around the building, always giving you support. That small community feel to me is something important. I grew up in somewhat of a small community in Baldwinsville, where everybody knows each other, and it's the same thing here, and it's good, it's great. People are just always supporting you, always, rooting the best for you. First one to congratulate you over anything. So once again, go back, not to be redundant, but that small community feel and just that unwavering support of everybody in the athletic department.
There's a student athlete out there in the community here in Central and Upstate New York, or anywhere in America, or anywhere across the country. If they said to you, Franky, why should I consider being a Dolphin? What would you say to them?
Family. That's really what it boils down to. I know family when it comes to the team. Any of those guys would do anything for me if I asked them to. They would ride and die with me. So them, the coaches, and then, like I said, on top of that, family of everybody here at the athletic department. That's what I would say. If you love being close to home, this is a place for you.
And for you to be a part of this family and to be a part of everything that's here at LeMoyne, how has it made you a better person, not just a better lacrosse player, but how have you improved as Franky Delia overall by coming to LeMoyne?
Wow. That's a great question, because out of high school, just a lot of things that I was trying to work out, and then you come here to college, and really it's just such a motivating environment. So being in an environment that the environment itself motivates you, and that the people around you motivate you, once again, going back to that positivity, going back to that enthusiasm, that's helped me grow immensely as a person. So you're in an amazing environment with LeMoyne, and then on top of that, just the lessons you learn from playing lacrosse, from going out there every day, from working hard and being held with a certain expectation, and all the lessons that come with that. This place has made me, formed me into what I'd like to believe is a pretty good man, and I don't know, what kind of man I'd be without it.
So many words. I don't know what kind of man I would be without it. The best decision of my life, regardless of division or anywhere you could have gone in the world.
Yeah.
Saying a lot about LeMoyne College. To go back to, with you being a goalkeeper, and obviously you want to protect that net at all costs, do you remember the first day you picked up a stick?
Picked up a lacrosse stick? I can't remember the first day, because I'm sure I was like 3 years old with the way lacrosse ran in my family. But I do remember the first day I picked up a goalie stick. I was at Coach Fiorini's camp, Baldwinsville camp. We had it every year, and everybody tried goalie. And so I naturally tried it eventually. I was a midfielder, but I wanted to try goalie. And I just remember I was making like tons of saves, first time ever playing it. And I just, I was a little crap back in the day. So I just loved the attention. I'm making save and everybody going nuts. You can make 10 saves in a game. I don't know if you can score 10 goals in a game. So that's where it was like, to me, it was like, oh, I love this attention. And then on top of that, I remember I had a varsity player. I think his name was Andrew Mosier. He was my coach. I remember he was going nuts over me. And I remember after that day, I was like, wow, this position's awesome. I didn't care about getting scored on. I was like, I'm just going to make a ton of saves. And I love this. So, back in the day, that's the reason why I chose it. But now, obviously, there's a lot more lessons that you learn from choosing these positions. Learning to have a short mind when you get scored on. And, you're in a team environment, but there's a lot of individualism, with the position. So,
how do you let it go when you get scored on?
Well, I never used to very well. When I was a kid, a little bit of a temperament, get scored on, hit the post, but over time, we talk about developing as a man here at LeMoyne, but over time, throughout playing lacrosse, you learn to hone it, and you learn that, when we talk about the position, it's a naturally leader. You're in a natural leader position. Coach likes to call me the quarterback sometimes. So you learn over time that you can't do those things.
Yeah.
And you learn that if you do those things, the team's going to see that, and it's going to start to reflect on the team and that negativity. So I really just over the years really learned to hone it in, and now it's just second nature. I get scored on, I pick up the ball, I throw it to the ref, I make a funny comment to him, and then I get back to playing. So.
Do you have funny comments in the moment, or do you have things that you typically say?
I try to get on the refs. I always try to talk to refs because they're just people. So I usually try to say something like, I should have had that one, or I'll try to, oh, that was a good shot, or something of that nature, you know, just to try to get a little laugh in and try to lighten the mood a little bit for me. So.
Yeah, that coming from Franky Delia. Franky, it's that portion of the Dolphin Dive where we get to dive into you a little bit more, and you get to put me on the hot seat too in rapid fire.
Right.
We get to have some fun with it. So I'm going to defer to you. We're going to have a couple apiece. You can ask me a question.
Oh God, I can ask you any question. Well, I don't have any like sort of funny or something. I guess like, you know, I met you this summer. I don't know too much about you. I would like to know a little bit about maybe what your athletic career looked like.
So I started, my dad wanted me to play baseball.
Okay.
And so I played Little League, and I fell in love with basketball when I was like 3 years old. I remember they had I think it was in my aunt's backyard, there was a blow-up pool, and with the blow-up pool there was a blow-up basketball hoop, and there's a blow-up basketball. Mm-hmm. And I think somewhere in my house I probably still have that blow-up basketball because I just loved it. And it was something that stayed with me, and I took it through my life. And I actually started out doing the potty shot when I was little, and I could make it like really like high percentage. And then my aunt's like, I'm going to teach you to shoot overhand, and she had me in her driveway doing it in Massachusetts in Amherst. And when you first do it, it's like holding an anvil. I don't know how to describe it, but when your body's not used to this motion, it doesn't feel right. And then I started shooting, and I'm just there, and I'm just outside. And it just turned into like, I was talking to my mom about it recently. I had coaches that helped as well, but I taught myself how to play. Like, my dad really didn't like come in the backyard and teach me a lot how to play the game, and I didn't have anybody in my family to talk to about it. So I taught myself how to want it. And I think that's probably one of the things that I appreciate the most looking back on my time is like, I know how much I loved basketball because I was the reason why I practiced so hard.
Wow, that's something special. Yeah, you do trial and error, kind of figuring things out. That's awesome.
What I like, I taught myself how to shoot left-handed, and when you first dribble a ball with your offhand and then you pick it up, it's that same anvil feeling. I put the ball in my hand and it dropped out, and I kept putting it in there like 10 times. It just fell right out of my left hand. I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I remember just trying to do this, and it felt so weird, and it made me feel so weak. And now, like, I can shoot kind of a mid-range shot with my left hand. Not that it's as good as my right, but I can actually get the ball to the basket, which to me was a win. And I am the type of person where I'll go out to a court now, and I expect to make every shot. When I don't, I make myself stay on the court until I decide it's okay to leave.
Right, until you get into a groove and you end on a high note. Absolutely, yeah I get that.
So, yeah, I don't know. I fell in love with basketball. I played basketball and baseball. I played pickup football.
Okay.
But basketball to me has always been a part of my life. It's singing, basketball, and like going to Disney.
Yeah.
Are three things where I can just find myself again if I need to.
Yeah, because that's like probably what your roots were, you know, where you were as a kid. That's awesome. So were you ever a fan of the Syracuse Orange? Is that because growing up, I watched them all the time. I mean, that was my favorite basketball team.
I wanted to play on the team.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a part of it, and it's funny because I finally got to play on the court, and there was a summer camp years ago, probably 7, 8 years ago. And there was a basketball camp at the Dome, and the Jim Boeheim court was there. And I was on the Jim Boeheim court. Nobody was playing at the time, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to shoot around because I never thought in a million years like I would get to play on this court. So I'm just playing by myself, and I'm just dribbling, shooting, and it's so weird because there's nothing around the court.
Yeah.
There's no like wall to stop the ball. It's just wide open. And I just remember being there and being like, oh my God! Like even though there's like not 30,000 fans here, I still feel the weight of like. I'm on a court where I don't want to miss.
Yeah.
And not that I want to miss anywhere, but there was something about being on that court where I was like, I have to make this count.
Yeah.
Like I have to make this meaningful. I don't want to embarrass the court.
Yeah.
And Dale Shackelford, and this was like when we met, and now we're really close friends, is he played for Jim Boeheim, and the ball went out of bounds, and it went to the sideline, and he grabbed the ball, and I went like this, and he passed it to me. It bounced once and it stopped. And if you're looking at the S, I was playing on this side. And I remember taking the ball like this and going, I don't care what shots I made or missed in my life. I can't miss the shot. Because Dale passed it to me. So I go to the right side of the free throw line and I let it go. and it drops in, and I looked at Dale, and I was like, "Did you?" And before I could even say it, he goes, "I saw that," and I said, "You got to change the stat sheet because your assists now in the career at Syracuse, you now have one more assist because it was on the court."
Right.
So,
yeah. In the history that comes behind that court, I mean, there's so many games that were just like incredible. You know, ESPN game days. You know, and then I don't know too much about it, but go back to the days of Pearl Washington and you know all those guys. The history that's on that court is crazy. So that's definitely probably something that was an amazing experience.
Like Georgetowns and the Yukons and the Pitts and the Villanovas and the St. Johns. So I mean, there's something to all of that.
Yeah.
And so that meant a lot to me. And in my own way, I'm like, you know what? To the kid that wanted to play here, I'm like, you got to pass. And this is how cool God is. You got to pass from a Syracuse player on Jim Boeheim's court in the Dome. You got to shoot a shot and you made it.
Wow.
And even if you're the only two people that saw it, Dale and I got, you know, like that part of history is that I got to touch that court and I got to do something on it and I got to make a shot.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's incredible. That's an incredible story.
So, for you, Franky, you know, we've talked so much about lacrosse, so I want to go to something else here. If you could ever be a Dolphin, be an actual Dolphin, where would you like to swim and why? Like, where would you like, if you were a Dolphin, would you want to be in a free ocean? Would you want to be at SeaWorld doing a showcase? Where would you want to be a Dolphin?
Well, that's a good. I didn't even think about SeaWorld. Well, SeaWorld's a
Marine land. Yeah.
Probably not SeaWorld, even though it'd be cool. But you know, when you think about the open ocean, there's so much out there. That'd be cool. Probably somewhere, definitely in the Pacific. Probably bouncing back and forth between somewhere off the coasts of like Southern California and then going back to Hawaii. I'd probably make routine trips back and forth around those areas. That's what I would do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What would you say is, besides lacrosse, like your favorite childhood memory?
Oh, wow, that's a deep one. My favorite childhood memory. So I got two of them. I don't know if that counts, but I got two of them. One of them would be when I got my brothers. I got my brother Nicky and Joey, and you know, their friends, Dave Middlemore and Gavin Crippen. Some pretty good names to me, good people that I remember growing up with, coming over and just putting me in the net. That's part of the reason why I play goalie. You know, I shouted out to Coach Sheehan's camp, but a main part of the reason why I play goalie is because they needed somebody to shoot on, so they would put me in the net, and they didn't care. They would just rip shots at me as hard as they could. I mean, they were all older, you know. So that was a big memory that I can think of, just hopping in that little hockey net we had and them just ripping shots on me with tennis balls, getting hurt. But, you know, the fun we used to have in my yard. And then on top of that, I think growing up playing sports with all the kids that grew up on my street, we had a cul-de-sac. I used to go down there every day. That was my biggest childhood memory, was just playing basketball, football, capture the flag, foursquare, kickball, you know, just so night games we do. Like, that was just like my favorite memories. I don't think I'll ever be more happy in my life than I was then. And I didn't realize it at the time. You know, what I do to go back to being a kid and playing sports like that would be amazing.
Yeah, you could just like your parents opening the door on a Saturday and saying, "Go outside."
Yeah.
Do what? Inside. Do something.
Yeah, I was never inside as a kid. You know, all the kids in my neighborhood, like I said, we were constantly playing sports. So those are the memories that I'll always hold true in my heart. So.
And I could second that. So, I mean, kickball and just everything. And like you said, capture the flag.
Yeah.
I loved capture the flag.
I know, but it's like, who's going to play? Where are you going to play capture the flag nowadays? You know
I think what you and I need to do is we need to create an adult league.
We should.
An adult capture the flag league.
I'm actually with it. This is so much fun.
It is. We used to play like hide and seek in the dark, which is called Ghost in the Graveyard.
Yeah, Ghost in the Graveyard. Yeah. And then I can't think of any night games. Yeah, that's what we used to do. So much fun. It's summer nights, you know, at school. Those were my best memories.
Big kid games with Franky and DT. That's what we're gonna create.
We should do that. I'm serious.
I'm serious about it too.
I gotta finish the season, you know, but I don't want to get hurt.
I don't say things that I don't mean. So
okay, good.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, me too.
We got one more bonus question. You can ask the first one.
God, I mean, you're coming up with good questions. We talked about your athletic career. I guess I wish I had something funny or cool, but I really, I would like to know more about you as a person. We've known each other for a little while now.
Yeah, a few months.
Yeah, a few months. Just how did you get into this? What made you get into this? And, obviously, how happy are you to be in the position, that you're in right now?
Well, people that know the show know that, I always mention my dad's word processor. And it's when I was 5 years old, my dad would let me use this. I would always ask him, Dad, can I use it? Dad, can I use it? Dad, can I use it? And every once in a while, because he did his work on it, he would let me use it. And what a word processor is it's a typewriter, but it's got a little tiny screen. And it was like the greatest thing ever because you could see what you were typing. And it had this little green screen with little black letters, and you type it in there, and then you would get it, and when it would print out, the way that it would print and come back and print and come back, and then my story would just be right there, instantaneous, and I could pull it out and get it. I asked my dad if I could have it, and I have that typewriter in my office.
Wow. It's the same thing as a basketball, just holding on to some of those things from your youth that really bring it back. That's awesome.
Yeah, that at 5 years old, I was telling stories. And so, I love telling stories. I always collected cards, and I would flip it over and flip it back, and I would just remember numbers, and I would remember stats.
Yeah.
And so I fell in love with sports. I loved collecting cards, photographic memory, remembering that stuff. I love to play basketball. I love to play outside.
Yeah.
I love to write stories and whatnot. And then on top of all of that, I love making people laugh.
Yeah.
And I love bringing people together. And so it's like to do what I do, it's this happy marriage of positivity, laughing, smiles, making people feel important, faith, community. It's all of these things that every single day, like there are days where you may not know, the person I'm interviewing doesn't know, but like you keep me going.
Yeah, right.
Like where people are like, oh, thank you so much for telling my story, this and that. And I'm like, oh, you guys don't understand. Like there was a time in my life where I was going through this really difficult transition. And in the transition, I had done all these shows, and I said to the coaches, I'm like, you guys brought me through one of what could have been one of the darkest times of my life.
Yeah. And
you had no idea that you were doing it. Like I said, you guys carried me.
Wow.
And so, I think for me, it's like, I just love it. You asked me that question, I get so excited that my throat's like, can't get the words out fast enough. But yeah. I love every part of it. I love everything I do. I love being the person that I am. I fought to be who I am. I fought to be here. Am I happy doing it? It's me. Like it's me. It's a part of me. I don't put on a show. I just be me.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Bob Beretta saw something in me and Linda Lemira. I love that I get to do these things that are impossible. And my mom bought me a sign, my first apartment, and I take it everywhere. I can't tell you how many times I cried, looked at this sign and prayed. And all it says is hope makes the impossible possible. Mm-hmm. And how am I doing what I'm doing? I looked up at God and I was like, hey, I know we can do this. And it's crazy how in certain parts of my life I felt like I couldn't do this, I can't do this, I'm not good enough at this. And then I feel like God looks at me and he goes, you never, ever think that you can't do something in your professional world. So in your personal life, why would you discredit yourself? Why would you put yourself down? Because look at, you never back down. And I think that's the thing is, no matter what's bothered me, who's tried to stop me, what stood in my way, no matter how much I complain about it, get upset about it, get stressed by it, I never let it stop me.
Yeah. So
I think, from here to the rest of my life is, instead of caring about any of that stuff or talking about any of it, when something stands in my way, just remember the fact that, every time I complain, I don't stop. Every time somebody tries to stop me, I don't stop. The common denominator is I never stop.
Yeah.
So why don't I take all that energy, putting into the people and the places and things that don't appreciate what I do, and why don't I put that into just loving people up, being there for people, and doing more for others? Because you're never going to stop me. And that's what I realize is, literally, I look right into the camera, you're never going to stop me. I'm never going away.
Yeah.
And that's because I believe in a God that's extremely merciful and good, giving me a million chances. And Frankie, I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, Dan, I mean, thing is what I love when you say that is like how what you hold true to your heart, what gives you meaning in life, you're able to integrate that all into what you do. And what you do, kind of just like it is you. Like it essentially is what you're saying. All your values that you hold, all your principles, that's all comes into this job, and that's awesome. And what I would say to you is, it just certainly doesn't go unnoticed. From following you, since I met you. I think actually I knew of you before we met because Jimmy would tell me about you. He was doing radio shows with you, so I've been following you for a while. Your passion and your enthusiasm with what you do certainly shows in your work. There's just no question about that. And I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome that you found something you love. I think it's awesome that you're relentless about it and you never let anything stand in your way in your pursuit of your happiness. That's an awesome story, Dan. And then also the other thing is, you mentioned these things that you hold on, the basketball, the typewriter, the sign from your mother. Like that's incredible. You hold on to these things from your past that remind you, why it is you do what you do, and then they keep you moving all the time. I think that's something that I really wish that I did, is help, kept things from my youth, keeps me going. And I'd imagine that's small 3 examples of a much larger amount of things that you have. So.
I mean, it's stuff that, like, I've realized over time that you have to be the one to remind you of who you are.
Yeah.
And when you forget, sometimes it just takes looking over at my grandfather's a Navy hat, or my other grandfather when he retired and he was in the Army, when he retired from his job at Miller, that he had a forklift in his cake. And I still remember being in the dining room and coming over to him and being at his side, and him looking at the cake, looking at me, and grabbing the cake. Even like my grandmother's probably got him doing all this other stuff, and he's got to follow the rules. And he grabs the forklift out of the cake that's got icing on it, and he goes like this, and he hands it to me, and it was like, "That's yours."
Yeah.
So like, there's just things that remind you, like, hey, the world can tell you who you are, or you can tell the world who you are.
Wow, that's a powerful move. That is a powerful message. Seriously, that's awesome. Yeah, and then holding on to those things from so you have that forklift. You're saying still?
I have the forklift.
Wow.
I have the hat.
That's incredible.
They're in my studio.
I have to start doing that. I'll keep something. I'll keep my stick forever. I'll hang my stick up from here. That'll be the first thing that I do. Hold on to a piece of memory. And I feel like what that's going to do is just, like you said, remind you of who you are, and then just keeps you going. And then, and then when you also talk about, like, this reminds you of your grandfather, this reminds you of your mother, not only does it keep you going and remind you of who you are, but it also reminds you of the people around you that really, truly care about you and want to see you be successful, and then that keeps you driven in itself. So that's awesome. I think I'm going to start using that. I really do. I'm going to start trying to hold things on, things that I put some sort of symbolism behind, and I'm holding that for the rest of my life. That's awesome.
Thank you. And thank you for the question. My final thought for you, Frankie, is Pizza Man's a part of your life.
Yep.
I love the sweet heat. Mm-hmm. I think that Jimmy and Luke made it for me before they knew me. I don't know. It's like they knew me in making the pizza. So if you could make the most if you could put anything on a pizza and it would be unique, like just truly special, what type of pizza would you make and why?
God, anything unique? That's so tough because it's like, as far as anything pizza-wise has been like done. Are we going up like, does it have to taste good, or could it just be like anything?
Whatever you want. I mean, the first thing I thought of in my head was gumballs, and I don't know why.
So yeah, that's kind of the direction. I was thinking maybe like a dessert, but that's been done. God, that is such a tough question. What would I put on a pizza that would make it unique?
Yeah.
I feel like everything's been done. I don't know. I think I just have to say I'm gonna go just basic. I can't really think outside of the box. What I would do, me and my mom, I would do half for me and my mom. What we would do growing up, she'd always order us a pizza. Half would be, this would be her half, pepperoni, bacon, and onion. and then my half would be banana peppers, onions, and peppers. And I think that's my unique pizza. That's like mine and my mom's pizza right there. So extra cheese too for my mom. She'll kill me if I don't say that.
But the thing is, what you just credited me for, you just did.
What's that?
I asked you a question. You went to something symbolic
Yeah.
of your mother, your relationship, and that pizza truly embodies you knowing her. I'm sure many memories over pizza with her.
Oh my God, yes.
And how much she means to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's been many memories of me and her eating some. She loved giving us pizza, and that's what it was.
Can we shout out, Mom?
Bacon. Ma, I love you. I know you'll watch this because you're like my biggest fan. I love you, and I love when we go to Pizza Man and you give me a pepperoni, bacon, and onion pizza. So that's awesome of you, and I love you.
And for those that don't know your mom's name,
Noreen Delia.
Noreen has come up to me on her own and introduced herself, and she's been an extremely great supporter of me. I don't know how I deserve it, Noreen, but thank you for all that you do, because she is so proud of you. She's so proud of just everything that she gives credit where credit's due. She says things that she cares about. She just seems like a really amazing woman that loves her family, and she definitely loves you. So.
Yeah, she is. I'm happy you gave me a chance to shout her out, because without her, I mean, I talked about Coach and Jimmy and all these people that built up, got me to where I am today. But without her, I mean, she was the building block. She's the foundation. Without her, none of it's possible. She really is. Really, because of her is why I'm here. She's awesome. She's an amazing lady.
So for this very fruitful, very deep, very philosophical Dolphin Dive with Franky Delia, LeMoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse, myself, Dan Tortora. This has been an edition of Dolphin Dive, truly unique in and of itself. And if you want to see all of the stories that we tell with student athletes, coaches, staff members, alumni, and future Dolphins, you can go to youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT, click subscribe, and check our archive. And of course, you can go to the LeMoyne tab on WakeUpCallDT.com, and that LeMoyne tab has a library of all of these wonderful specials with LeMoyne College, and of course AD and DT with Bob Beretta, and of course our special with President Dr. Linda Lemura. As always, Franky,
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate you.